A group of researchers from the University of Cairo had been excavating ancient ruins near the Red Sea for months when they stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Within this chamber lay an ancient book, covered in dust and wrapped in a worn leather cover. The book was titled The Secret Seal. Dr. Ahmed, the lead archaeologist, could hardly contain his excitement. The book was written in an archaic form of Hebrew, and it spoke of King Solomon's legendary seal, which was said to imprison the 7 demons of the ancient world. His colleagues, Dr. Maya, Dr. Hassan, and Dr. Layla, gathered around, their faces lit with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. As night fell, they set up camp within the ruins and began to decipher the text. The more they read, the more they realized that this was no ordinary book. It contained detailed instructions on summoning and controlling demons. Dr. Ahmed, ever the skeptic, dismissed the warnings as mere superstition and urged his team to continue. They reached a section detailing a ritual to break the seal. "It's probably just a legend," Dr. Ahmed scoffed. Against better judgment, and driven by a mix of arrogance and curiosity, they decided to perform the ritual. They formed a circle, lit candles, and chanted the ancient incantations. The air grew heavy and cold, and the ground beneath them began to tremble. Shadows danced wildly on the walls as the candles flickered. Suddenly, a deafening silence fell, followed by a chilling whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The room darkened, and a foul odor permeated the air. From the shadows emerged 7 figures, each more grotesque and terrifying than the last. The researchers froze in fear as the demons materialized before them, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Dr. Maya screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the oppressive darkness. "You have freed us," hissed one of the demons, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. "And now, you shall pay the price." The demons lunged at the researchers. Dr. Ahmed tried to flee, but was caught by a shadowy tendril, pulling him into the darkness. His screams echoed through the chamber, abruptly cut off. Dr. Hassan frantically recited the incantations backward, hoping to undo their mistake, but it was too late. A demon's clawed hand tore through his chest, silencing him forever. Dr. Layla, paralyzed by fear, watched in horror as Dr. Maya was dragged into a dark corner, her cries fading into silence. Alone, Dr. Layla stumbled backward, her eyes wide with terror. She clutched the book, hoping it might offer some protection. The demons circled her, their eyes glowing with anticipation. "You cannot escape your fate," one demon whispered, its breath cold against her skin. Desperate, Dr. Layla tore the book open, hoping to find some way to banish the demons. Instead, she found a single ominous phrase: "Those who dare break the seal shall suffer eternally." With a final hopeless scream, Dr. Layla was engulfed by darkness. The next morning, a rescue team from the university arrived at the ruins, only to find the camp abandoned. There was no sign of the researchers, but the air was thick with a sense of dread. The ancient book lay open on the ground, its pages fluttering in the breeze. The team packed up the book and returned it to the university, where it was locked away in the archives, never to be opened again. But those who ventured near the chamber could still hear the faint whispers of the doomed researchers, a chilling reminder of the price of their curiosity. To this day, the ruins remain untouched, a silent warning to those who might dare to uncover the secrets of the ancient world. The Seal of Solomon is best left undisturbed, its dark magic and demonic entities waiting patiently for the next group of fools to break the seal and unleash their wrath once more. In the heart of the ancient city, within a crumbling library forgotten by time, Ali, a scholar of the arcane, discovered a dusty manuscript. Its worn pages whispered secrets of the 1001 nights, tales untold, and horrors unseen. He read under the dim light of an oil lamp, the shadows around him flickering like sinister dancers.
Hidden tales of the 1001 nights,
Ali murmured, flipping a page to reveal a gruesome illustration of a demonic jinn, its eyes burning with malevolence. Determined to uncover the forbidden truths, Ali set up a makeshift study in a dark, secluded tent deep in the desert. Surrounded by ancient texts, he began to chant an incantation. The air grew colder with each word, and the lamp flickered violently, casting eerie shadows.
By the ancient words, reveal yourself,
he commanded. A whirlwind formed in the center of the tent, sand and shadows swirling together. The demonic jinn materialized before him, towering and terrifying, its eyes glowing with an unnatural red light.
You seek the forbidden truths?
The jinn's voice echoed like thunder. Ali, trembling but resolute, nodded.
I must know the real horrors.
The jinn's lips curled into a sinister grin.
Then witness your doom.
The tent collapsed into darkness. Ali's screams pierced the night as shadows engulfed him, each echo growing fainter until silence reigned. By morning, the ancient study was eerily quiet. The manuscript lay open on the desk, blood-stained and sinister. The oil lamp, now cold, cast a long shadow over a single ominous word, written in blood: beware. Baba Yaga, the wicked old hag, dwelled within the huge and dangerous forest, with a small house that was on 2 duck-souped chicken legs. She had many people fleeing from the village due to her evil witchcraft and cannibalism. She would lead people, especially children who loitered around, into the forest, and the next thing that they would realize was that they had fallen into her clutches, and she had snapped off their heads with her iron teeth and boiled them into a black cauldron. The villagers had learned their lessons early on, and whenever they saw the forest, they ensured that they did not set foot on it, so that Baba Yaga would not have anyone else to feast on. But a tragic winter had come upon the country, and the crops withered on the ground, while the animals starved to death. Land shortage was also acute among the villagers, and as the food stocks depleted, some dared venture into the forest in search of edible fungi, berries, anything to get the family through the next day. Ivan, one fine day, was hunting for foods along with his wife, and as they walked, the wind changed and ceased. There was a chuckle in the distance, and Baba Yaga's house appeared, as if it rose out of the forest floor. The chicken legs began dashing about the roots and rocks, and it was bringing the tiny hut right to them. Baba Yaga opened the door wider, her white unruly hair flying like a storm, her iron fangs gleaming. Ivan clasped his wife by the hand, and they both fled as best as they could. Having successfully secured the village and the surrounding area, Ivan mobilized the elders without delay. Baba Yaga was a very unusual woman, who only emerged when her appetite peaked. Of course, it can be assumed that she intended to gain more weight in preparation for the winter evenings. Thus, they had to maneuver fast to safeguard their subjects. The men toiled hard into the night, hacking down trees and making palisades round the border of the forest. Women covered their children well and ensured they were close to the fire, since one might get snatched by ghosts at night. In the morning, one can see a high wooden fence that isolates the wooded area on 3 sides. Even the frozen river went without protection. It was too wide to build a barrier around. All they could do was to pray that Baba Yaga was being controlled. Originally, it appeared to be effective, since everyone remained silent. They begin to wonder whether they might ever hear the evil laughter again as weeks pass by. But people were still getting abducted. The young woman here, the hobby old man there, and every night the rations diminished. The belts were drawn on the tighter, and Baba Yaga's appetites were whetted. Last off, little Ivan, who was named after his courageous father, disappeared one chilly afternoon, with heavy hearts and burning anger in their chests. The villagers convened at the common area of the town. At night, Baba Yaga had taken too much. They would suffer to die of hunger before she had gorged to her heart's content. The elder Ivan vowed never to see a child perish again. He assembled the fathers and their axes. Early in the morning, they would storm Baba Yaga's hut and free her from her evil deeds. This is because the mothers wept and children shouted, but the men who were to go to war had made up their minds. Together, they would deal with the ancient evil. The next morning, Ivan took the fathers to Baba Yaga's hut with axes that had blade parts decorated with silver. The chicken legs were depicted standing motionless in water that had frozen into sticky mud. Desperate now, Ivan flung his body against the door, and it burst open. It opened at once, and I went inside the relatively dark interior of the hut. He raised the axe and prepared to get that kid-eating witch indoors. However, instead of Baba Yaga, little Ivan looked up at him. He was sitting in the corner, staring with a look of relief on his face after seeing his father. The other missing villagers were also present, and as chained and frightened as the rest of them, but otherwise, they seemed to be healthy. Baba Yaga, the witch of the woods, was not present there. There are cheers and jubilation at the unbelievable rescue as the villagers are brought home from the water. But where was the witch? Was she able to escape from Ivan and his axe? Through the narrow ice floe, a faint column of smoke was visible against the backdrop of the snow-covered trees. They'd still be out there, but for Baba Yaga, it was the same. Survival came first in the coldest winter. It would be up to the buds of spring to bring some sort of calm in the middle of all the turmoil.
Deep in the heart of Staten Island, there lies a darkness that locals whisper about in hushed tones, a darkness embodied in the chilling legend of Cropsey. This tale, born from truth twisted by fear, tells of a man who haunts the woods, a man once real, but now a specter of horror. Long ago, in the 1970s, on the outskirts of New York City, the Willowbrook State School stood as a grim reminder of neglect and despair. Here, children with disabilities suffered in squalor, hidden away from society's gaze. Among the staff was a man named Andre Rand, whose unsettling presence earned him a reputation among the children as Cropsey. Rand was odd, with a wild mane of unkempt hair and eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkest night. Whispers of strange rituals and eerie nocturnal wanderings followed him like a shadow. But it was the disappearance of children that cast him into the realm of urban legend. It began with Jennifer and Michael, two friends who ventured into the woods near the abandoned school, seeking adventure on a warm summer day. They laughed and played, oblivious to the warnings whispered by their parents. As dusk fell, they stumbled upon an old, decrepit cabin hidden amidst the trees, a place where Cropsey was said to dwell. Inside, the air was thick with the stench of decay, and the walls bore cryptic symbols scratched into the wood. Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine, but Michael scoffed, dismissing the warnings as childish tales. They explored deeper into the cabin, their laughter fading into nervous whispers. Suddenly a sound echoed from the shadows, a low guttural growl that froze their blood. They turned to flee, but the door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Panic set in as they pounded on the door, pleading for escape. From the darkness emerged a figure, Andre Rand, his face twisted in a malevolent grin. With a voice that sent shivers through their souls, he spoke of ancient curses and sacrifices to appease dark forces. Jennifer and Michael trembled as he approached, his eyes gleaming with madness. They backed away, their hearts racing, until Jennifer stumbled upon a rusty hatchet hidden in the corner. In a desperate frenzy, she swung the hatchet at Rand, striking him across the arm. He howled in agony, his mask of sanity slipping away to reveal the true face of evil beneath. With a strength born of terror, they forced open the door and fled into the night, leaving behind the cabin and its horrors. Their tale spread like wildfire through the town, igniting fear in the hearts of all who heard it. Searches were conducted, but no trace of Andre Rand or his cabin was ever found. Jennifer and Michael returned home, forever haunted by the memory of Cropsey's twisted grin. Years passed, but the legend of Cropsey endured, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and shared in hushed tones. Some say he still lurks in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting souls to wander too close to his domain. Others dismiss him as a figment of overactive imaginations, a ghost story to scare children into obedience, but those who have felt the chill of the woods on a moonless night know better. They know that some legends are born from truth, and that darkness can lurk in even the most ordinary places, and so the legend of Cropsey lives on. A reminder that evil never truly dies, it simply waits for its next victim.
When I moved into my ancestral house in the countryside, the whispers began. Soft murmurs seemed to come from the walls, growing louder each night. I told myself it was just the old wooden floorboards settling, but deep down, I knew better. As night fell, the whispers intensified. I couldn't make out the words, but their presence was undeniable. Alone in the dark, my heart pounded with fear. The few visitors who braved the journey to the gloomy manor left quickly, unnerved by its haunting atmosphere. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the shadows themselves seeming to pulse with malevolence. One chilling night, the whispers reached a crescendo. Amidst the chaos, one word became clear: Nagab. The sound of it filled me with a terror I couldn't explain. Over the following days, my fear turned into obsession. I had to know what Nagab meant. The whispers grew relentless. I boarded up windows, but nothing stopped the maddening chorus. Exhausted and half-mad, I decided to flee. As I packed in haste, the whispers mocked and jeered, their intensity like a storm around me. I raced to the grand oak door, only to find it locked. Panic surged as I clawed at it, desperate for escape. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, silencing the whispers. Darkness enveloped me, and a deep crack appeared in the wall, glowing with a crimson light. From the fissure, bony fingers emerged, followed by a shriveled, grotesque body. The horror I had feared was real, and there was no escape from the nightmarish fate that awaited me.
Old Maplewood High stood abandoned, its windows shattered and halls empty, but its history was anything but forgotten. Once bustling with laughter and chatter, the school now lay silent, haunted by the spirits of former students who met untimely deaths within its walls. On a dare, 5 teenagers decided to explore the decrepit building one night. Nostalgia filled the air as they roamed the darkened hallways, recalling stories their parents had told them about the school's glory days. However, their excitement soon turned to dread as they heard mysterious footsteps echoing through the corridors, even though they were alone. Whispers floated on the air, calling out names none of them recognized. Doors creaked open on their own, and cold spots appeared out of nowhere. Fear gripped the group, but they pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting. In the old gymnasium, they found a dusty yearbook with pages that seemed to turn by themselves. The faces of long-dead students stared back at them, their eyes seeming to follow the intruders. One of the teens, Sarah, picked up the book and suddenly felt a sharp pain in her head. Visions of tragic accidents and sorrowful farewells flooded her mind. Panicked, the group tried to leave, but the doors were now locked. The whispers grew louder, transforming into anguished cries. Desperate, they fled to the basement, only to find a makeshift memorial for the lost students. Realization dawned. They had disturbed the spirits, and the spirits wanted revenge. The next morning, the townspeople found the teens wandering the streets, their eyes vacant and their minds shattered. Old Maplewood High had claimed more victims, its dark legacy continuing as the spirits of the once happy students exacted their vengeance on those who dared to trespass. In the small, fog-covered village of Asakawa, the tales of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman, had been told for generations. Children shivered in their beds, whispering about the woman with a haunting smile. One summer, Haruto and Yuki, childhood friends now in their teens, decided to face their fears and uncover the truth. One misty evening, they ventured into the old abandoned shrine where Kuchisake Onna was said to roam. The air was thick with nostalgia. They remembered playing near the shrine as kids, unaware of its dark reputation. As they stepped inside, the wooden floorboards creaked and the air grew colder. Shadows danced on the walls, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Suddenly, a faint whisper echoed through the shrine, sending chills down their spines. "Am I pretty?" the voice asked. Haruto and Yuki froze, their breaths visible in the cold air. Emerging from the shadows, a woman with long dark hair and a surgical mask appeared. Her eyes glinted with malice. "Am I pretty?" she repeated, removing her mask to reveal a grotesque slit mouth. Haruto and Yuki stumbled back, but their legs felt like lead. They realized too late that the tales were true. In a desperate attempt to escape, they turned and ran, but the shrine's doors slammed shut. Weeks later, the village searched for the missing teens, but found only the shrine, unchanged. Whispers spread that Haruto and Yuki had joined the legend, their spirits forever bound to the cursed shrine, awaiting the next curious souls who dared to ask, "Am I pretty?"
For as long as I can remember, ancient artifacts buried in the desert sands fascinated me. Their strange architecture and cryptic carvings hinted at a civilization unlike any known. My curiosity led me to embark on an expedition. What follows is the harrowing account of that journey. Our team set up camp near crumbling walls, armed with tools. A single small door stood before us, revealing nothing but darkness. We secured ropes and lights, descending into the abyss. The stone steps, worn smooth by countless footsteps, felt treacherous. The air grew damp and oppressive as we ventured deeper into the labyrinth. The tunnels twisted and turned chaotically, defying order. The walls, adorned with grotesque engravings and paintings, depicted scenes of war and arcane rituals. The imagery unsettled me as if I had entered a madman's dreams. We reached a vast chamber with statues lining the walls. each twice the height of a man. I shone my light on the first one, a bird-like creature with multiple heads and hands. The others were no less disturbing, with eyes encircling their forms and tendrils stretching outward. I felt the statues were more than mere stone. At the far end of the chamber, a large entrance yawned open, revealing a black abyss. With trepidation, we stepped through, finding a sloping passage that seemed to descend and rise simultaneously. The heat and humidity intensified as we pressed onward. Eventually, the passage broadened into a massive cave. A pale light emanated from luminous moss and fungi. The vast subterranean lake captured my attention, its still waters hauntingly beautiful. Suddenly, a thunderous roar echoed, shattering the silence. The lake's surface churned violently as a monstrous figure rose from the depths. Panic seized us, and we fled back through the tunnels, the beast's roars pursuing us. Breathless and trembling, we emerged into the desert night, leaving behind the secrets we had sought. The expedition had cost us dearly, yet a part of me knew the ancient city still called to me, its mysteries waiting to ensnare the next unwary soul. The nameless city's curse had claimed us, and its hunger was far from sated.
The Johnson family moved into their charming old house, captivated by its vintage charm and nostalgia. Yet, their excitement quickly turned to terror as unsettling disturbances began. Every night, eerie noises echoed from the attic, thumps, whispers, and the sound of furniture scraping against the floor. Objects in the house moved on their own, seemingly by invisible hands. Desperate to find answers, the family ventured into the attic. Dusty relics and forgotten family photographs scattered around the room heightened the sense of dread. As they sifted through the old belongings, they uncovered a hidden diary belonging to a previous occupant. The diary's pages detailed the life of a woman tormented by a vengeful spirit. Suddenly, the attic door slammed shut, trapping them inside. Shadows twisted and voices grew louder. The family realized too late that the poltergeist was no mere spirit. It was the soul of the woman seeking to relive her suffering through them. The family's last screams were drowned by the haunting laughter of the poltergeist, forever trapped in the attic with their horrifying fate.
I moved to the quaint, isolated town of Sleepy Hollow, drawn by its serene beauty and the promise of a fresh start. The townsfolk warned me about the legend of the Headless Horseman, but I dismissed it as mere superstition. One crisp autumn evening, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to explore the old abandoned church at the edge of town, said to be the horseman's haunt. The air grew colder as I approached the church, its decaying walls and shattered windows casting eerie shadows in the moonlight. I felt a sense of foreboding, but pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with dust and the scent of decay. I found a weathered diary on the pulpit, its pages filled with frantic scribbles about the horseman's curse. Suddenly, a chilling wind blew through the broken windows, extinguishing my flashlight. The air turned icy, and I felt an oppressive presence closing in. My heart pounded as I heard the distant sound of galloping hooves. Panic set in, and I stumbled out of the church, the sound growing louder and more menacing. I ran through the dense forest, branches scratching at my face and clothes. The galloping grew closer, and I dared not look back. Breathless, I reached the town square, hoping to find refuge. but the square was eerily empty, the townsfolk nowhere in sight. The hoofbeats echoed through the empty streets, and I realized with horror that the legend was true. I reached my home, slammed the door shut, and bolted it. The galloping ceased abruptly, replaced by a sinister silence. Just as I thought I was safe, a cold hand gripped my shoulder. I turned to see the headless horseman towering over me, his eyeless gaze burning with malevolence. In that moment, I understood the townsfolk's warnings. The horseman wasn't just a legend. He was a curse that claimed all who dared to challenge it. My screams echoed through the night as the horseman dragged me into the darkness, leaving behind only whispers of terror for the next curious soul who would dare to seek the truth of Sleepy Hollow.